within another 1 year, because our calendar is full, we'll have to struggle to find time to get to the county of Kiambu here. By the time they come, it will be the next year. And then within 4 years, they're 2 years behind. So we can never be current. Chair, this must be dealt with the seriousness that it deserves.
Thank you, Senator. Governor, you shall respond because we called you here to have a conversation with you. So I'll give you an opportunity to respond. But let us first get the final views from the Senate. Professor Sam Solomon Ongeri of Solomonic Wisdom.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Governor Waititu and your team for coming to have a dialogue with us. It will be appreciated, indeed, when we have valid documents that have been examined, scrutinized, and helping us to help you to cope with the difficulties and problems of Kiambu County. You are lucky that you are within the proximity of Nairobi, and you have a very potential catchment area in terms of revenue collection, the receivables. And therefore, in terms of counties in this country, you're probably one of the most highly feasible county. And everybody will be watching at you to be an example of the rest of the other counties on how you handle huge budgets and how you handle the resources at your command. Now that we don't have the responses, which I think your auditors are fully versed with, that there are processes in accounting procedures that we must be followed for us to be factual, not harm you, and not harm the process itself. And I think it would have been a nice thing to see these reports presented well in advance in accordance with the statutory notices that were given on the papers and in the Gazette notes it. Now that those information is not there, I don't know, Chair, what you will do, because personally, I feel very constrained to discuss a report that I've not been able to lay my hands on and look at it and digest it so that I can be fair both to the county and to myself sitting in this committee. And this will go for the rest of the other counties, that when they come, I think give us the privilege of looking at that report in advance so we are able to digest it. Yes, I know I've looked at it at this stage. I can decipher 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 areas which are very critical in terms of financial management of Kiambu County. But I will be able to make a much more intelligent report when when you have also seen your response on these issues that have been raised in this audit report. And that's really in the interest of clarity and fairness to every one of us. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Professor. Maybe a quick question. Governor, have you, in your long parliamentary history and experience, have you been a member of PAC or PIC in the National Assembly?
I was a member of the Budget Committee.
Which is really, as far as procedure is concerned, is usually very strict on procedure. And the gentleman to your right, have you been a member of PAC or PIC in your previous parliamentary life?
I was a member of the Runs Committee and the Budget Committee.
Okay, maybe round pegs in square holes, or what? With your credentials, you probably should have been PAC or PIC. But what I'm trying to say is that you guys are not strangers to Parliament. It is the first time you're appearing before the Senate, but you have greater parliamentary experience than many of us sitting here. And so we do not have to belabor the point. What do you have to say in response to what my colleagues have said?
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, we had so many documents and to look for, so that we come with evidence. And if you look at all the questions, we have the evidence with us. And I thought that is what is supposed first and foremost to be very, very important. And I must also tell you for the record purposes that we have been invited for the first time. And I must say I'm sorry not to have presented the documents on time, but I must seek your indulgence because we were busy looking for the information. Otherwise, we didn't do it deliberately. But Mr. Chairman, I would like to just mention something that my senator has mentioned. That he talked as if he's also very efficient, but I want to tell you that he has never come to my office, first and foremost, since we were elected. He has never attended any assembly session.
Order, Governor.
Sorry.
Order, Governor. You didn't come to evaluate the performance of your senator. You are here for the Senate to evaluate your performance as a governor of Kiambu. So I will give you an opportunity to make some opening remarks when we get to that point. Okay. We want to first of all deal with these issues of procedure and issues of documentation. So it will be safer for you to put a full stop at that point. You can canvass your issues later, because I wanted to, because if I give you an opportunity, then you'll have a right of reply. Let me first deal with the issue, a few issues of law, Senator.
Just on a point,
Yes.
if you allow me, because well, I didn't want to belabor the point because it's not meaningful right now, because that would derail the process if we start that back and forth. That is not about the accounts of Kiambu, which have a big issue. But I just wanted to make just a quick one that would maybe set the record straight.
Just don't provoke him further.
No, I don't need to.
Okay.
It is unnecessary. What I'm just saying that for purposes of even future, when other governors are looking at such issues, that the senator upon election is not elected and domiciled to the office of a governor, such that he has a responsibility to report to the office of a governor. I mean, actually, what happens is in reference to the provisions of the Constitution that both levels of government, including the officials who are elected at that level, operate within the framework of cooperation, and that is the key thing, interdependence and cooperation, and it is not about the governor reporting to my office or me reporting to my office. Yeah, if we were to go into those details, I have a bunch of correspondence sent to the governor's office, to the speaker's office, which is unresponded to, but we'll get to the main issues at the time. I just wanted to say it's an issue.
Thank you, Senator. Yeah. Let's frame the issues before us. Auditor General, Article 229 defines the audit process. The county government is expected to present their financial statements within how many months of the close of the financial year?
It is within 3 months from the close of the financial year.
When did the county government of Kiambu submit their financial statements?
They submitted by 30th September 2018.
They should have, or they did submit, because
they submitted.
They submitted by 30th of September.
Yes.
In line with the constitutional
yes.
requirement.
Yes.
Okay, then that's okay. At least to that extent, you complied. The expectation was that all those documents you're saying you've been looking for ought to have been provided during that audit process. And the CPAs and PhDs next to you would know that when you come before Senate, you are not coming for audit. The certification is done when the auditor is in the county. Number two, the Public Audit Act, Section 62, is very clear on provision of documents and on time. And for avoidance of doubt, I want the auditor just to read for us the relevant section or the relevant part of Section 62. Because at the end of the day, when we make a decision, Governor, it must be guided by the law rather than our own feelings and opinions. Section 62.
Thank you, Chair. Section 62. A person shall not, and that is C, without 62C, Chair, without justification, fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this Act. And subsection 2, Chair, a person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or both.
So upon conviction, it means you'll have to tell Nurdin Haji to order investigations and prosecutions. That is in case we get to the legal committee. Please go on record, ili sauti isikike.
Thank you, Chair. Cherargei Kiprotich is my name. Senator Nandi County and Chair of JLAC and a friend of this committee.
Karibu, Senator. If they still don't have it, I will read it. Section 19 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. Maybe the chair of legal could read it. He's the one who manages this particular act.
Okay. Section 19, procedure if witness fails to appear. 1, where witness summoned does not appear or appears but fails to satisfy the relevant House of Parliament or committee, the relevant House or committee may impose upon the witness such fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings, having regard to witness condition in life and all the circumstances of the case. 2, a person may pay the fine under subsection 1 to the clerk of the relevant House. 3, the Parliament or its committee may order the arrest of a person who fails to honor summonses.
Thank you, Chair. So it deals with summons, but it also deals with when a witness appears and does not satisfy the committee, in which case this would be one of those circumstances where, yes, you have responded to an invitation, but you have not...
the matters in the report are significant, but
I must have gone round Kiambu County, flashing the audit report, actualize that. So the Auditor General says Kiambu County in 2017-2018, in management of the 12 billion Kenya shillings that constituted your budget, is generally satisfied with a few exceptions. I think that's what a qualified opinion means. If there were great exceptions, it would be an adverse opinion. If documents had not been provided, it would have been a disclaimer. The Auditor General goes ahead and says that as far as lawfulness and effectiveness of application of public funds is concerned, he has no evidence to show that you have not applied public funds lawfully and effectively. Is it effective or efficient? Effectively. So again, a very good kind of report form. So if it was, for us, this is our report form for assessing how a county is being run. The Auditor General goes further and says, as far as internal controls are concerned, on which page is your report on internal controls? But you have said that as far as internal controls are concerned, there is no evidence to indicate that there could be a problem in Kiambu County as far as internal controls are concerned. So this would be a very good report form for a child coming back home from school. As a committee, we spent the first 1.5 hours and explains the reason why we kept you waiting a little bit to contextualize that very rosy verdict by the Auditor General. We have had a conversation with the Auditor General, and we have raised certain concerns. Number one, the source of truth of financial transactions in government institutions is IFMIS. And where there's going to be a variance between IFMIS and financial statements, in my view, that cannot be a qualified opinion. There is a problem. If you're going to have a situation where, in terms of payments, there is a difference between IFMIS and financial statements of 800 million that has not been explained, that cannot result in a qualified opinion. But maybe that could be the only divergence. Maybe it was only one, but it's not just one. If you look at this report, you look at various measures of county performance, the Auditor General reports that your expenditure on development is 20.4% against the PFM threshold of 30%. That cannot be a minor divergence. The Auditor General further reports that in terms of on-source revenue, you are 12% off target. That cannot be a minor divergence. Auditor General further reports that in terms of wages, you are spending 47% of your budget on emoluments against the PFM threshold of 35%. That, in the view of this committee, and in line with positions taken by this committee in the past, cannot be a minor divergence. The Auditor General has also because it's a question we have put to him or to the office. There are transfers to other government entities. Entities like County Assembly, which financial statements shall be audited. There are transfers to other entities like the Kiambu Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, which cannot be traced in these financial statements. And I know that that fund will have to be audited, and we shall make a ruling on when it should be tabled before Parliament. It can't be traced here. But finally, before I allow my colleagues also to make the observations, Governor, I want to draw your attention to your own financial statement, which I believe you have. And I want to draw attention to page 18 of your financial statements, where you have listed your budget execution by programs and sub-programs. Are we there? I want us to look at it jointly. Are you on that page 18? So starting from page 17, you have provided the budget for various departments in Kiambu County. I want us to look at the budget for Kiambu County Public Service Board. And coming to page 18, there is a budget line entitled State House Affairs. Are you seeing that, Governor? State House Affairs.
State corporations.
Are we looking at page 18?
Yeah.
The financial statements that you gave to the Auditor General has got a budget line on State House Affairs, 704000000. No, I'm not seeking an explanation for now. I just want to confirm whether you are seeing the same thing.
Yes, I am.
You are seeing a budget line, State House Affairs, isn't it?
Functions. State House functions.
Governor, can you read what you submitted to the Auditor General?
Yes.
It is entitled State House
Affairs. Yes.
Affairs. Underneath, there is a line called Coordination of State House Functions. 973,839,449.
Yes.
Kiambu County. Coordination of State House Functions. 973 million. Below it, administration of statutory benefits for the retired presidents. 180,506,800. These are budget lines for Kiambu County government, not national government. When you go down, Governor, to the bottom of that page, under Administration, Public Service and Communication, you've got a line, a budget line, 70302 with 4 zeros. No, 70301 with 4 zeros. A line called State Corporations Advisory Services, 591,610,204. So remember, coordination of State House functions, 973 million. Administration of statutory benefits for retired presidents, 180 million. State Corporations Advisory Services, 591 million. If you go further, I don't want to belabor the point, you will find that County Government of Kiambu has a budget line on Kenya South Sudan Advisory Services, 58,108,000. And when you go further, on page 20, under Education, Gender, Culture and Social Services, Kiambu County Government has a budget line for free primary education at 804 million. Now, if you look at those numbers, they are not adding up. Is it Kiambu County Government that is financing State House? That is paying statutory benefits for retired presidents? That is supporting the peace process in South Sudan? that is supporting free primary education, this cannot be a qualified opinion. And I'm not going to, I'll allow you to respond. As I said, you came here to have a conversation with us, so I'll give you the opportunity. But I just want us to first share our views as a committee on why we think that that report form needs to be subjected to further scrutiny.
Yes.
Any member who wants to contribute? Let me start with Professor Ongeri.
Yes, Chair. You remember when I took the floor, I did say that I'm not comfortable to debate and discuss the kind of figures that are appearing in the financial statement of Kiambu and the budget lines that are appearing there, which are extraneous to the format normally used in accounting purposes for Kiambu County government, or in any other county. Those functions that have been enumerated are outside the purview of the expenditure lines for any county. Unless there is a special justification, unless there is a provision by the Kiambu County Legislative Assembly having passed that budget with that provision, and if so, why they should have passed that provision without due regard to the PFM Act, how the PFM Act narrates on which direction this expenditure should take. So on the basis of that alone, Chair, I'm limited in allowing us to continue with this debate, and the best that can be done is maybe to ask for special audit on this particular aspect of it, so that we get to know the bottom line, whether these resources are there or these resources have been used in some other manner.
Thank you, Professor. Senator Kibiru.
Thank you, Chair. It's a sad moment today that we are getting this kind of information. And like I said, Governor, when you started giving us the credentials of your staff, we became a bit worried, because where the rubber meets the tarmac is when we start looking at these issues. Governor, you have been let down by your team. You need to work on your team. If this is true, which we are going to reconfirm, then I think we have a sad moment where we have over 2 billion. The way Chairman has led, if you look at that figure, it is over 2 billion Kenya shillings that has gone to services that are not helping the Wanjiko in Kiambu. So, Chairman, I want to concur with my friend senator here, that we indeed may call for a special audit into that financial year.
May I, because you have ground knowledge,
Yes.
you might take away the points from everybody else. Let me first hear from other members of the committee. Anyone with a contribution on this? Senator Chirargei.
Thank you, Chair. It is shocking, but maybe there are two things that Senator Professor Ongeri has raised, that unless there is a legislation which the County Assembly of Kiambu has passed, and secondly, unless there was a special request, maybe the governor will tell us from the State House to chip into the budget. Maybe the State House is trained. Number three, is this money, we would want to know if this money that was allocated to these State House affairs and other issues, is it still there? And therefore, I would request that, Chair, we should order a special audit so that we can be aware if this money was spent, how was it spent, is it still available, so that we can, if that money has been taken, then they should be returned to the people of Kiambu and be spent again on more pressing and urgent needs in Kiambu.
Thank you, Senator Chirargei. Senator Omanga, then Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Chair, I'm also shocked. Actually, with these kind of budget lines, there's no way this report could be a qualified report. And Chair, talking about justifying the budget lines and all that, also, we cannot talk about that, because these are documents, the documents which the governor was talking about, evidence he has brought, that he was looking for evidence, and he's brought the evidence today, which we've not seen, the auditor has not seen. So there is no way we will start talking about justification of this at this point in time, because these are documents which have just come, which we've not seen. We don't know the authenticity of the documents and all that. So I think there is no justification at this time. And as my colleague said, we need a special audit for this Kiambu County.
Senator Isiolo, Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Let me say this. This term used by the Auditor General, qualified and qualified. I know it is a financial term, but for ordinary mwananchi, it's really misleading. We need to unpackage this. Clearly, that has been given a very supporting document by what we have before us from Kiambu County. We have over 30 counties that are qualified. And to an ordinary mwananchi, when you are given qualified, that means you have an A or even B+, which is really misleading. And secondly, this is really embarrassment to the government when the account of State House is under Kiambu County and the Auditor General has not captured this. It's really shocking. To add on that, when this report is qualified, we have payment through general suspense account, which is not justified and which is against PFM Act, Section 1071, contrary to Regulation 1071 of PFM Act. And this amount is not little money, 929,105,190. This is not small money that has not been accounted for. Compensation of employees, 637,970,489. This is also contrary against the law. Chairman, the issues of pending bills, which is very clear, 2,316,638,468. It's not small money. If you are really serious doing an oversight role in this Senate, I think we must ask for a special audit to be done in not even Kiambu only, all the counties that are given qualified. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dulo. Senator Matangi.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll tell you what I have to say to what I started saying earlier. That, Chair, one, when you find that a county chooses to play the game of coming to intend to surprise the committee by arriving with documents in the morning, which were supposed to have been forwarded many months to allow this scrutiny to happen. We find a county that chooses to ensure that the Auditor General does not get the documents in good time for him to scrutinize and come up with a proper opinion after scrutiny of documents, Chair. I dare say, if you find, Chair, that the first introductions, as the governor did here, was to first introduce big credentials to create a smokescreen, in my view, so that there is no, the minds of the members can be clouded with the credentials, but not with the work that is done with those credentials, Chair. Because, and I say that even before you go to the details, Chair, if you look at the first query by the Auditor General on the variances between what is recorded and given by the county government, between what they have actually given in their financial statement and what is recorded in their IFMIS. And remember, Chair, IFMIS is an electronic system. It is not a guesswork. It is no guesswork in IFMIS. It is what you have entered. If you look at the variance, the total variance in all those items read, Chair, for example, in cash at bank, there's a variance of 2 billion. In receivables, there's a variance of 3 billion. In those total payments are a variance of 800 million. The total variance between the statements availed by the county and the records in IFMIS, the total variance is 45 billion. And then you ask yourself, from this query, if indeed what then the county provided was in documentation amounting to 25 billion, then how would you rule out in the first place that all this is not the work of cooking these documents to have this variance, Chair? And Chair, we have to be very, very clear, because if you look at what you have said about the opinion of the Auditor General, and especially even in attempting to have this categorization of qualified or unqualified opinions, Chair, the matters raised in this audit query are not only grave, but they are absolutely serious. See, if you look at audit query, for example, there's one there, number 62, which you mentioned a bit earlier, 62. It is a claim by the Auditor General that funds which are intended to be conditional grants have been diverted to a recurrent budget of more than 64 million. And so what you're talking about here, Chair, is that in the first place, the failure to avail documents is not an error. And in support of what my colleagues are saying, Chair, that we should have a special audit in Kiambu County. Not only a special audit, Chair, but there has to be a special audit that is time-bound. And number two, Chair, the documents that are provided for justification for any of those expenditures must be scrutinized. Fully scrutinized, Chair, to ensure that the process henceforth does not now become a process of manufacturing documents. Because how can a report like this, prepared a year before, one, not raise the attention of the county officials, beginning with their credentials, that the Auditor General claims that there is a budget line that has expended money belonging to the people of Kiambu, claiming to be spent on a peace process in Sudan. Sudan is not a subject of Kiambu. And so, Chair, this cannot be anything else unless proven otherwise, but just a conduit of absolute plunder and theft. It can't be anything else. I mean, what else would justify that? And Chair, what I want to qualify, so that my words and my statement can be clear, is that the Auditor General does not prepare what we call the financial statements here. That financial statement is forwarded by the county itself in justification of what they have done. They are the ones who go and give this is what we have done, so look at it, and then print out our IFMIS. So where are those monies that they have indicated that they paid for a peace process in Sudan? Where are those monies that they are saying that was spent to cater for services to State House? Where are those monies? Have those monies gone? Is it, Chair? So, Chair, this cannot rest anywhere. It can only rest with a complete special audit on the county of Kiambu for the year in question. Chair, I want to go back one step and confirm, as you did the first inquiry, that indeed Kiambu County, as required by the letter they received, they did not present the accounts of 2015-16. They did not present the accounts of 2016-2017. And now what they have brought today is the accounts of 2017-2018. So those 2 years have a gap, which they were required to have brought. Now, Chair, the question would be this. Is that also another intended game such that there is no connection or coordination, and once you see figures like those ones, you can blame them on past years because you've not been able to create continuity on those years. You see, Chair? And so that special audit, Chair, as the Senator for Kiambu, I also want to infer that it has to be time-bound. Time-bound so that within a specific period, Chair, and within the consideration of this committee of not more than 45 days, that a special audit must be conducted on all the accounts of Kiambu County, all. And then, Chair, I also want to request, as the Senator for Kiambu, that this audit report be disregarded by this committee as a true indication of exactly what has happened in the county of Kiambu for that year, 2017-2018. And it's only the result of that special audit that will inform the members of public in Kiambu County what has happened to their money. And Chair, lastly, I want to also implore upon members of this committee that when this process of special audit is going on, that this committee takes time to go and visit Kiambu County and see for ourselves precisely what is going on in that county. what is the purpose of having all those rosy credentials? Yet when it comes to accountability, there is zero accountability, Chair. And lastly, Chair, in the process of that visit, I also want to make this special request, Chair, to this committee, because matters in Kiambu are not rosy. Things are not good in Kiambu. There is uproar. People are worried. Where is our money going? What's happening? And so, Chair, I also want to say for the first time, can we also look at the possibility, Chair, because we have a budget line of engaging private auditors, Chair, that we can ask to also, alongside what is happening, those renowned audit firms to take up this role of auditing Kiambu County. We can ask firms like Deloitte and Touche or any other major international auditing firms to go through and look at every account of this county, Chair, because I am absolutely sure that this could be a pointer to a lot of trouble, Chair, and we cannot let this happen, especially the first year of devolution when this new government has come to the county of Kiambu, expected Chair, to improve on the things that were happening in Kiambu before. Chair, it cannot be left just to chance. We have to take action.
Thank you, Senator Matangi. I wish to acknowledge the presence of Senator Isaac Mwaura, special elect, but also Senator from Kiambu. We've never known whether he comes from Kiambu or Nairobi, but he's from Kiambu. So, Karibu, Senator, you come in as a friend of the committee. You are free to participate. The only thing you won't do is to vote. Governor, as I said earlier, we had invited you here not just to listen to us, but also to talk to us. And so I want to give you an opportunity to respond to the issues that have been raised. But what we have here, Senator Kibiru quantified it at 2 billion. We have your budget execution report, which has an approved budget and actual payment. And so in the South Sudan peace process, it appears Kenya-South Sudan Advisory Services, approved budget was 58 million, actual payment was 58 million. In coordination of State House functions, approved budget was 973 million, actual payment was 902 million. In statutory benefits for retired presidents, approved budget was 180 million, actual payments was 180 million. In State Corporations Advisory Services, approved budget was 591 million, actual payments was 578 million. And in free primary education, approved budget was 804 million, actual payments was 793 million. I want to refer you to Article 1794 of the Constitution. The only elected person in this republic who's referred to as a chief executive officer is the governor. In fact, not even the president is referred to as a chief executive officer. And I raise this, Governor, to remind you that you take responsibility, full responsibility as chief executive officer. Secondly, I want to refer to the Statement of Management Responsibilities, which has been signed by your CEC member for finance. Your CEC member for finance is responsible for preparation and presentation of the financial statements. Your CEC member for finance has signed on 28th of September 2018 and confirms that the county government has complied fully. The CEC member for finance accepts responsibility for the county government's financial statements. The CEC member for finance is of the opinion that the county government's financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of the county government's transactions. The CEC member for finance further confirms the completeness of the accounting records maintained. Signed on 28 September 2018, CEC member finance. What I read about State House, South Sudan, free primary education is part of what your CEC has signed and confirmed to be true and fair. In that context, anything that you'll tell us probably will be an excuse rather than a justification. But you may respond to the issues raised by the members.
Thank you, Chair. First and foremost, as a governor and a former member of parliament who was elected twice in this parliament, I want to appreciate your role as an oversight body. But what I have to say, Mr. Chairman, is that what I've just seen is also new to me, honestly. I think it's a misuse of template of the national government, because nobody could have assumed that we could have such figures in our county. And you know very well that we don't have a budget line for those things, and so there is no expense at all. But because I have my CEC who is here, I would beg that he comments on that, please.
Governor, is this the same CEC who signed on 28th of September that the statements present a fair picture?
I have somebody.
Is this a CEC who confirms the completeness of the accounting records and who confirms that the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of county government's transactions?
No, he's not the one, but we have somebody who was there.
It is the office, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is the office. I think.
So what else is there to be said,
No,
Governor?
I just want also to hear.
If there is that commitment signed,
I think honestly, Mr. Chairman.
And before this, I believe, must have been discussed even in your presence within cabinet.
Yeah.
So what else is there for the CEC to tell us today?
Honestly, because
when he has already made that confirmation,
because
that
we
this
came for
presents
dialogue.
a true and fair
Having
picture.
come for dialogue, and we are here. Honestly, and he's also here. I think he's only good that.
Let's listen to the excuse.
Before the CC, before
Thank
the
you,
CC.
Order. Let's hear the intervention from Senator Matang.
Yes, Chair. That's okay. The CEC may answer at his own time. But the first thing that the governor needs to confirm is now that upon asking those questions, the governor refers the matter to the CEC to be able to explain those issues. And the issues and the figures raised here, Chair, are weighty. They are big issues. They involve billions of shillings. So the first question I would want to get answered by the governor is, does the governor at any one time look at those accounts? Does he look at the documentation? Is he aware of what is signed off and what is not signed off? Because, Chair, it is not practicable that the governor would come to appear before this committee to ask the CC to respond even without substantiating and to say that he's surprised to see those figures when he is here. Doesn't this information come to your office? Do you ever get time to look at it?
Mr. Chairman.
So I want the questions and answers to go through the chair so that it's not one-on-one.
It doesn't look like
before you respond, I'll just beg your indulgence. Senator Mwaura seems to have something useful to add, and then you respond to both queries.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me. Just for the record, I'm in the Kiambu delegation under Senator Matangi, and so I vote many times on behalf of Kiambu County, because that's how Senate operates. Chair, I'm very curious, both as a nominated senator and a resident of Kiambu, to hear the governor feigning ignorance of his own budget. Chair, how can we be told by the governor that this is a misuse of a national government template? Does it mean, Chair, that Kiambu County government does not have its own template 9 years after devolution? And does it mean that these budgets are only approved as a matter of procedure without proper scrutiny? Because, Chair, it is unacceptable that a county government would have budget lines. On State House, Kiambu, there is no State House. I've never seen one. That there would be some peace process of South Sudan. I don't even think we have been able to fulfill the many cases of insecurity and violence in Kiambu County as to occasion Governor Waititu and his government to go to South Sudan to provide I don't know what kind of peace. Is this money, Chair, meant for personal use so that they are hidden under some certain nebulous budget lines?
Okay, Governor, you may respond to Senator Matangi and Senator Mwaura.
I wanted to make it very clear, because that is the true position, that the template are given by the Treasury, and that is the truth, and that is why that such information have come from Treasury. And I want to believe very sincerely that we could not And we did not, first and foremost, spend any monies on these budget lines, budget heads. We have not spent any money in State House or Southern Sudan or free education. We did not have any budget for that. It is only appearing as a template misuse from Treasury. But what I want to say is that I am welcoming any special audit that you might prefer to Kiambu County. I'm ready, and we have nothing to hide. Just recently, World Bank through KDSP did an audit in all the counties in Kenya, and we were less than number 10. We performed very well. EACC had also done an audit in Kiambu just some 2 months ago, and we got a clean bill of health. We are ready to face any audit. And what I want you to know, Mr. Chairman, is that information are normally distorted seriously in Kiambu because people have interest in the information that reaches the people. But I want to assure you that we are here, the people who do the job, we are here with the true information, and we are ready to give the true information. The people who have been giving wrong information through blogger, through social media, that are supported by some politicians with an interest in the campaign that will come in 2022, to me, I'm not worried, Mr. Kachwang. The most important thing is that I do whatever I promise the residents of Kiambu, and I know very well that if you come to the ground, honestly speaking, I know you will also be very surprised to hear what the people are saying. And you see the work that have been done. This is not a story, but I've told you, again, you are welcome to set a committee, a special audit committee, to start the work even tomorrow. And we are ready with the true information. And I'll be also very happy because just 1 week ago, you saw a distorted information about this chief officer who was arrested just because of driving a GK vehicle, and people put in the social media and even national TV that she was arrested with 26 million and another one with 5 million. And it was, these people are sponsored by politicians in Kiambu who have an interest in learning for the...
I want to advise that we restrict ourselves to the issues
if you want me to answer
the committee. We will be safer that way. Otherwise, we'll open a can of worms.
I'm ready to answer all the questions that you prefer against me. If you want us to follow
even though, Governor, you know, more specifically, you have not addressed the questions put. For example,
ask me one by one. I will answer fully.
You are talking of misuse of templates. Yes. But how will this committee establish what this 793 million that was paid purportedly for free primary education, where did it go to? How can we confirm that? Because what we have has been certified, has been signed by your CEC. You see the situation we are in?
If you look at the budget box.
Just a minute, Governor. Because I'm just trying to, we are not driven by malice or anything. It is what is before us that is not making absolute sense. It's either you spent on State House, or if you didn't spend on State House, how else will we know when the statements you have signed indicate that you have a budget line for State House? So
but
there's nothing here about Kiambu and politics. This is about the facts that are before us.
Chairman, honestly speaking, I want to believe that this report was not interfered by anybody to put in those things so that when I come here, I'll be cornered the way you are cornered. I just want to believe. Very sincerely. Very sincerely.
Could we let him just in 1 minute and then or was this completely out of order?
Please, I have not, at least I thought, because I've been in these parliamentary committees, I thought that you give time to at least to people to speak. You cannot prefer, it cannot be like a mob
knowing parliamentary procedure,
I thought you could
know
give me 1
that
minute.
point of orders. Okay, let's hear the governor for 1 minute.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Chair, alongside, we can
I
hear the
wanted
governor,
I
but
wanted
properly
to
within the
put
issues
my
that-
point
Yes,
straight.
just be orderly for that next 1 minute.
Yes.
Yes.
My point is clear. My point is very, very clear that it is true and it is natural for people to have an interest. But honestly, I want to believe that the committee will be neutral and look at the issues as they are. And I'm apologizing that we have such issues in the report, but I don't know how they came to my report, because we didn't spend any money. And I would believe, honestly speaking, that such temperate could not have just come here by themselves. There must be somebody who...
Let me help you in that. Let me help you in that. Auditor General, the numbers that I've read, were they submitted to your office by the county government of Kiambu?
Chair, the financial statement that is attached to the report was submitted by the county of Kiambu.
So we have dealt with that. So there's no malice, there was no insertion, there was no mischief. Those are the financial statements that you submitted to the Auditor General. So you can proceed with that in mind.
Then I want to tell this committee and assure this committee that there was no money spent whatsoever on Southern Sudan. No money was spent on free education. No money was spent on State House, because we don't have a vote for that. And I also want to tell you that the variance between the IFMIS and the financial statement, this is something that everybody can understand. You know, IFMIS is controlled by Treasury, and we don't have a way of doing the reconciliation immediately. So this is something that, but we have followed up the reconciliation, and we have indicated clearly here that what the variance was. What I also wanted to tell this committee that we received our exchequer in July, and all the expenditures were committed in June. So the variances you are seeing between the cash book and even the IFMIS is because the commitments were done in June, while the payments were done in July. We were allowed by the Treasury to continue up to around the end of July. So the variance between the figures up to June and the two payment is expected. It is something that can be explained. This one happened to all the counties because the money, the exchequer came late. But what I want to tell my friend, Mr. Matangi, and my senator, is that as the leadership in Kiambu County, we are committed to what we promised our people. And if you have any figure that has a variance or has a difference, you are free to come to my county or even visit the assembly, which you have never visited even a single day.
Yeah, let's not get there.
We were there and had guided you accordingly. Please don't get back to trouble. Yeah, let's proceed.
What I wanted to summarize with is that as the administration in Kiambu County, we are ready either to face this, to answer questions in this budget presentation, or if you decide to have a special audit committee, we shall be ready to cooperate so that we can give the true picture as it is. And I would wish that, Mr. Chairman, from here you give a warning that people should report the truth as it has happened today. Because there's a habit in Kiambu. There's a habit in Kiambu. I'm telling you, there's a habit in Kiambu that the truth is never told, and that is why I wanted to give you an example with this lady, that she was taken in for just driving a GK vehicle.
Chair,
Then what was reported, what was went out there,
Governor,
honestly, I wanted to tell
Point of order,
Governor,
Chair.
Order.
Is that bad to say?
Point of order, Chair.
It is getting out of the substantive issues, and because if we focus on these issues, We will do justice to the people of Kiambu.
Yes,
And we are ready for you to do that.
So
We welcome you to do exactly what you have said.
there was an intervention by Senator Kibiru.
Not even an intervention now. I want just to give the governor just a brief. Like you said, you have CPAs, you have doctors. But governor, when the Auditor General decides to come audit Kiambu, there are steps that he undertakes.
Yes.
First, he writes and says the days he is going to come. So there is the first meeting. He meets with your people, the relevant people who bring in the statements that you are talking about, the financial statement. Then they do sampling on the areas that they are going, and they agree on the documentation that they are going to provide to the Auditor General. From there, the Auditor General carries out the audit and writes to you or the CEC a management letter, quelling a number of issues. And then he calls for a meeting to come and discuss the management letter. Then after that, he brings in a draft report. The draft report is discussed in your office by your officers, where supposedly, as a CEO, you are supposed to be informed. Thereafter, the exit meeting is done, and then the final report is presented to you. So I don't see where the politics of Kiambu, the bloggers, or anybody else comes into this. Let us, Chairman, we must separate facts. As far as we are concerned, unless somebody has cooked these figures overnight, this is a process that took many years, and your people were duly involved. I think, Chairman, we need to clarify that we are not dealing about shenanigans here or bloggers. It is a fact.
Thank you, Senator Kibiru. I like the fact that you're pointing us to a way forward, and I want that then to be the focus of interventions.
Can you excuse me for a minute? I wanted to refer you to our vote heads, which are here in that budget, and you can see that there is those are the budget heads that we deal with, and that's where from where we pay. And we have nothing else except the vote heads that are here.
Okay, fine, Governor.
Just refer to them.
Senator Wamatanga.
Budget performance.
Chair, what I just wanted to put in perspective clearly what we are talking about here, so that even as we close the meeting finally and we have a way forward, Chair, we are clear. One is that the Auditor General, and I believe, Chair, the Governor, when he came in here, has confirmed on record that he has submitted, Chair, responses to these audit queries. And if he has submitted those responses, Chair, that means that he has gone through those audit queries and made answers to them. So he cannot be saying that he's strange to those figures, while those figures are contained in this audit query, which you have confirmed you responded to, and you have filed responses with the Auditor General this morning. Actually, those files there, behind there, are supposed to be containing the responses you have written in answer to this. So there is no way you would be saying that you responded to something again that you're disputing whether it's authentic or not authentic. These figures are the figures that you responded to. This variance that is queried here of 45 billion is what you have responded to in that report that you filed.
Chair, but
now, secondly,
let him prosecute, and then you will respond. Just, I'll give you a chance.
Secondly, Chair, let's debunk this thing about the peace process in Sudan and votes in State House and so on. Chair, in the process of forwarding documents after expenditure, and one of the biggest problems that counties are having right now is expenditure out of IFMIS. That is one of the big problems we're having. That counties are able to, and from the evidence availed here, Kiambu County being one of them, are able to go to the system from the CRF account and access funds without going through IFMIS. But then after these monies have been committed and paid, either for whatever reasons, then has got to be justified. But because then after that expenditure, it has got to appear somewhere, that is why you find mysterious names. You know, the only thing, Chair, I want to say firmly is this, that it was the expectation of this county when they're providing these documents that we would not scrutinize inside there and see those votes. That would be one of the reasons. And what we have to do is to hold the bar high, very, very high, Chair, such that at the end of the day, every single penny, because the Auditor General does not get these figures from elsewhere. He gets from the records that have been given by the county. He does not come with his own documents. So everything written here is as a result of what was found in the county government's offices. And I want to finalize by saying exactly what Senator Kibiru has said without repeating it, that this is a process that you had every opportunity to query for almost a whole 6 months before from the time the auditor came. So let's not play this game in here. And lastly, Chair, because I think the governor has repeated it so many times that, oh, the senator didn't come through, I want to say to you, Governor, and I was avoiding
through the chair.
Yes, through the chair. I
chair.
was really avoiding a scenario where we're having an exchange because it's not necessary. There are so many established methods of communication and liaison between the office of the senator, the governor, and the county assembly. I want you to know from now onwards, as you say that I have constantly, not probably less than twice a week, engaged the county assembly in communication, written and verbal, and monitoring what they are doing. So it is not the seeing me in person. My office does not have to walk through me, that when you see me, that my office is working. My office works. That is why you find I am completely abreast with the issues of the county assembly. And by the time we prosecute this report, you will realize that I have everything at the fingertips of exactly what has been happening, including in the county government. And I also want you to know that, Chair, as per the request that I had made to this committee and a letter that has been written to the governor, I have raised issues continuously with the county government of Kiambu and specifically the governor's office on all these matters you're hearing about this runaway and wild expenditure. But not a single of those inquiries or letters or demands for explanation has been answered. That is why I resorted at the end of the day, Chair, when this county government, governor and the team are coming here, that is why I had written to you as the chairperson, although I'm a member, and requested that those issues in all the letters that they have failed to respond to for the last 1 year about the expenditures of funds in Kiambu, that they bring in written responses as they come today. And that's why you heard me saying from the first go when they sat down that it should not be a surprise that they are bringing in documents this morning. It is absolutely calculated. So, Chair, as we conduct the special audit, the letter that I wrote to this committee demanding an explanation on all the key issues has got to be dealt with, Chair, and those answers and responses must be submitted so that the people of Kiambu will be satisfied. I am the senator for that county, elected specifically to ensure that the funds that are allocated to that county or either collected from those people are spent not only prudently, but with responsibility. Lastly, Chair, allow me to say that if you look at the newspapers today, the headlines in the Standard show how the CRA and we indeed in Parliament are going to have the county allocations to all the various counties. And Kiambu is amongst those counties that have benefited from a major increment. Kiambu County, up from 9 billion to 10 billion, is now going to be receiving almost 13 billion. So I want the governor as he sits here, and talking about the senator not going there, to know, and Chair, you know it is on record, including I going to court, that we have put up a fight, and myself in person, to ensure that there is an increment. We were engaged even yesterday with Senator Kibiru in a meeting with CRA. We have had to do this continuously to ensure that these county governments get more funds. Kiambu has an increment of almost 2 billion. We are not putting up this fight for these funds to come to the county and then you get stories and figures, and then when you call your governor, he comes here to talk stories about you not going to see him in his office. It is about accountability. It's numbers.
Fine. Well stated. Governor, you will respond. I assure you, you will get your time. Everyone shall be heard. The governor Kiambu shall be heard. Just relax. What the senator is saying is that oversight is done in various ways, but I don't want to get into the details. I think it has been well stated. I may want to request maybe Senator Mwaura, maybe a final comments, and then we give the governor an opportunity to respond, and then we make a decision on how we are progressing. So Senator Mwaura, then we give the governor some time, and then I'll give directions.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm in full support of what Senator for Kiambu has said. Is that, number one, if you look at the report here, it's very clear that there are lots of funds that are unaccounted for. If there is a variance between the IFMIS and what is actually recorded in the, for example, Thika Level 5 Hospital, and the variance of 41 million, that needs to be explained. It is not a matter of conjecture. Number two, Chair, is fairly evident that the governor is not in control of his own county. Why am I saying so? If a governor, Ferdinand Waititu, who has gone to school in Punjab, has a master's from Kenya Methodist University, can come to Senate and tell us that figures have been doctored when the Auditor General is seated here, is a clear manifestation of his lack of proper governance in Kiambu County. And he needs to be very ashamed of the fact that he can come to cast aspersions on a very dignified committee of the Guest House of the Senate. Number three, and this is my last point, Kiambu people are suffering. And when we hear of people being caught, not by the Senate, not by Senator Wamatangi, but by the Kenya police, ferrying 26 million shillings in cash to buy a house, another 6 million in dollars. That is a matter that is supposed to be dealt by the police. You cannot use the Senate as an opportunity to clean up yourself. We are not under that jurisdiction. And there are very serious allegations of unsupported expenditure for Kiambu County of 786 million. There seems to be serious variance of the monies that are collected daily by casuals, and none other than your own deputy governor is on record on the same. And so we, the people of Kiambu and the Senate, we are very much concerned about the welfare of our people. And you owe it to this committee and the people of Kiambu to fully explain, not to come and give us gerrymandering stories and trying to feign ignorance as you always do, so that you can get away with it. We will be with you to make sure Kiambu County gets the right services and there is value for money.
Now, I want us now to give the governor an opportunity to respond on the various issues raised, maybe within 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted first to clarify that the budget that was signed by the CEC is up to this point. I wonder whether you can... these other annexures were done by the Auditor General. So
that one I will not accept without challenge.
This is what was signed by the CEC.
Auditor General, let's, because we must, this is a constitutional office staffed with more CPAs than you do have, and maybe more PhDs than you do have. Auditor General, for the second time, can you confirm that the notes and the schedules attached to your report came from the county government of Kiambu, or did you create them?
Thank you, Chair. Let me call Benjamin Madeka, who picked this document.
Honestly,
it's a fundamental
and
fact.
attach them to this report to give us his comment about this.
Because if it was done by the Auditor General, it's a different story.
Yes.
If it was done by you, then it's a different story.
Yes.
Who have you asked to respond? Please quickly come to the microphone.
Yes, through the chair.
Proceed.
Through the chair, I want to confirm that the accounts received from Kiambu Executive is what is presented to this committee.
And indeed, what I'm looking at, every other schedule and every other note is signed by a chief officer whose name is not indicated, and is also signed by head of treasury accounts, someone by the name of John Kenyanjui Chege, whose ISPAC member number is not provided. And so, Governor, we must debunk that myth that these are Auditor General's numbers, these are your numbers. So please proceed without trying to further argue on that note. Proceed, Governor.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you have the same documents that I'm having, where we have the signature of the CC, it explains from where we owe the responsibility of the documents. And these are annexures that some of them are not, we don't know them. Where we we take responsibility is up to where the CC signed, and I have them here. Honestly, how can you, how can we take responsibility of the documents that are just annexed to the report?
Have you looked at, you know, I don't want us to stick or to discuss non-issues. We have made the observation, confirmed by the Auditor General, that what I have referred to indeed came from the county government, and I've looked at them, and I've seen areas where two people from your office are signed. It might not have been the CC Finance, but it is your officers, head of treasury and another accountant. So we, as a committee, have no doubt that those are your numbers. Please do not try to convince us otherwise, because we have already taken the position. I want to allow you to proceed with the balance of your 5 minutes if there is any other issue that you want to address.
First, Mr. Chairman, I want to repeat, because that is the truth, that I will not bear responsibility as the governor for these annexed documents that are not signed by my CC, because I don't know where they came from, and what I'm seeing today from my senator and the other senator here is something that I expected. I knew they could have used this opportunity to try to tarnish the name of my administration.
Governor, is John Kinyanjui Chege an officer in your county? Is he the head of treasury accounts?
Yes.
John Kinyanjui Chege?
Yes.
All these annexures bear his signature. So please.
I'm refusing page 17 and 18.
Please, Governor.
Yes.
Please, Governor.
Page 17 and 18 is what is foreign. It's not what.
So you have selectively the ones that say you are financing State House, you are disowning.
I'm telling you that my CC presented what he signed for, and it is here.
Fine, it's your word against the word of the Auditor General. That is a constitutional office. It's your word against the committee. The position of the committee is that the numbers you are looking at came from the county government of Kiambu. And if you are going to use the balance of your time on that matter, then I shall rule that you have nothing more useful to say, so that we can proceed to the next point.
Just a quick one, Chair.
Let me donate 1 minute.
A quick one, Chair.
Kibiru, then Senator Kibiru, then Senator Matangi.
Governor, who gave you that document that you are leading? Where did you get it from? The document you are leading?
From my CC.
Fine. The CC owns that document. You have the document that you have all the information. You cannot come here and start telling us you are disowning a document that you have come up with. We got copies here. You have had it for the last 6 months. That document. So if there is a document you wanted to plug and come, you should have come and told us. Oh, the documents you have, these ones we don't know them. But now once we have raised issues on the document that you already have, then you can.
Because I have said that point has been dealt with to conclusion, such that any further comments on it will not be useful. Senator Wamatangi, order, Governor. I will give you an opportunity when the chair determines it is appropriate.
Chair, just the clarification, because Governor has said that there is a lot of distortion of information in Kiambu. And I just want to be sure that he's not starting that game himself now by trying to distort information. because Chair, if you have confirmed that he came carrying those documents, if he is saying that somebody inserted those figures in documents, then who inserted in his document? Because he came with it himself.
Senator Matangi, I know you important point, but I want to because
It is because that's what he's implying.
On this particular
that
subject,
that we inserted in ours and inserted in the one
I have said that anything more we say is not very useful because we already have enough information to take a decision. So, Senator Mwaura, make sure you are giving us useful information.
Chair, I just want to ask a question to the governor as he responds, and I have utmost respect for him. Is he confirming to this committee that he does not read his own documents? Because if he were to read the documents, he would be aware of what is in the contents. Number two, Chair, is the governor confirming to us that he does not know what documents he gets from his own CEC? Because his assertion that these documents are be doctored is a clear manifestation of the fact that he does not even understand financial procedures, and that is why his own county assembly refused to pass the supplementary budget because of those irregularities.
Senator Professor Ungeri, please pour some oil on the stormy waters so that we can be in good temper.
The governor, I thought Governor Waititu, you had made an admission that you're seeing these figures here and you're going to investigate and find out where these figures came. And I think if you argue along those lines, it might be understandable. But you cannot, at this stage, very late stage in time, that document you are holding from your CEC is not from this side. It is your document, you have it, and the first statement you should have made is that before I comment, the 2 pages of this document do not belong to me. But you admitted that these documents are the ones you submitted, and indeed the events that are there, the other documents which are there will corroborate your explanations. That's why earlier on I made a comment that I will not be able to these anomalies which are so immense that anybody looking at them would think that we're totally wrong to even venture the debate we're venturing now. So I was going to request you, I think it's in your interest, that you also take time off to look at this report calmly and see where the pitfalls are and see where the rain started beating you. It will not help us at this stage to put accusations, counter-accusations, because what we're dealing with are hard facts. These are the auditor's report, which is before us, and these documents have been in your domain for the last 6 months, and you had the opportunity to peruse it and go through it, every page. But now that these issues have arisen, and the public, of course, will be interested to know, it's in your responsibility to be able to tell the public later on, through this committee, that this is the true statement when you have. If you can maybe, Chair, since I've seen him several times wanting to give his CEC to make a comment, if you can probably allow him through the chair, so that we also hear that story, just to complete the picture, that's all.
Prof, the first part of your very sober comment was very compelling to me, where you have appealed to the governor to avoid digging deeper, to stop digging on this, and maybe just request for time to clarify and get to the bottom. I thought that was reasonable, because if I'm going to allow your CEC to comment, you'll be digging even deeper. So, Governor, you might want to consider the fatherly advice from Professor Ungeri that you give a commitment that you are going to look into these issues and that you're going to update us on the true position. But the aspect of justification will end up here fighting up to 4 o'clock. Okay. So proceed.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. And also wish to thank my friend and former colleague in the Assembly. First and foremost, these figures were not part of the audit queries. They were not part of the answers we are coming to answer. So that puts, if they were honestly in the original budget, then they could have been questions. So as far as we are concerned, they were not part of the answers we were coming to answer, and they were not part of the questions that were asked by the Auditor General. So, and honestly speaking, if they were there in the original budget, or in the original presentation of our budget, honestly, the Auditor General could have asked for them. Otherwise, I take my friend's advice, my senior friend's advice, that really look into the whole document, and I must tell you that the time you will give us to come and defend, even offer explanation to, and even evidence to some of the issues that have been mentioned, we shall be ready to come and do the same. And I'm also telling you that as the head of the county government, we are ready for a special audit report. There is nothing we are hiding at all, and we are ready even from tomorrow or the day after for the special audit report, because we need to audit it to the people of Kiambu. And I appreciate the comment by my senator that we received more just because of the increase in revenue and the performance. CRA pegs allocations with the performance, and that is why we got more. Honestly speaking, maybe we did not give a very good presentation today, but I welcome you to see for yourself the performance that we have in Kiambu County, and it is my considered opinion that this county, this committee will give us a fair hearing and inform our people the truth about the financial transactions that are going on in Kiambu. The Auditor General could not have been wrong to say that he has an unqualified opinion against about our county. The KDSP, World Bank, did an inspection and an audit for all the counties. EACC was there the other time, and they gave us also unqualified
I don't know whether you should have given a point of order on that one, because
I wish...
Senator, I wish we could let the governor get to the end of his submission, and then we can...
No, it's just that I just wanted to raise a point of order, Chair, because, you know...
Okay, let me hear what the point of order is, but I would have wanted you to finish. Just raise it first.
Yeah, the point of order, Chair, that I wanted to raise is on factual presentation of truthful information. Because, Chair, you know, if we allow to go on record, and this is a house of records, and those records persist and remain within not only the time Parliament is alive, but also as a reference to what has transpired today. Chair, if you look at the Controller of Budgets report for the year 2017-18 and the year 2016-17, the county government of Kiambu lost more than 800 million shillings because of failing to meet the requirements of the parameter called fiscal responsibility. And that goes alongside the requirement that the county meets the targets for revenue collection. This county did not meet those. Indeed, they went way below. And that occasioned a hole within the amounts that were received by Kiambu County to the extent of less than 800 million. The only saving grace, Chair, that the people of Kiambu were still able to continue and at least have some semblance of services continuing is because of the few increments that have been occasioned by when the Senate and us senators stood firm, including against the Division of Revenue Bill, to increase amounts to these counties. If Kiambu County was left on its own without the intervention that we made as senators to ensure that what had been proposed to these counties had been increased, then indeed Kiambu would have been in absolute disaster. Because I say that as a matter of fact, so that it's on record, Chair, out of the amount that this county receives and from the amount that they pay in their recurrent expenditure, including personal emoluments, they spend more than 70% of the total allocation on recurrent expenditure. If, for example, when they have received 9 billion and they pay out, they have less than 3 billion, or actually 2 billion to put to development expenditure. And you have seen that is in the record of the report of the Auditor General. So if you say that amount less 800 million deducted, they could even hardly pay for services, including even medicine. They benefited from that fact of the intervention of the Senate. So I want the governor to be very careful when he is making those kind of statements, to say that the county government has improved in revenue collection, when we are looking at the actual audit queries, Chair. That is one of the main issues. And I want to allow me to say, because yesterday we spent the morning in a meeting in the Senate to lobby the CI to ensure that at least there is some conformity, that we will not ensure that. That's why I said earlier that you will be seeing now you have an allocation of almost 13 billion up from what you got earlier, is because of those interventions. But even right now, the judgment on the county of Kiambu today on the aspect of own source revenue collection is still low. You have not been able to meet the targets, and the solution is not in lowering the targets so that you look like. I mean, if you lower the bar that you're going to jump so that you can be you are jumping, you're not helping
Senator,
the county.
Restrict it to a point of order rather than
Thank you, Chair.
a point of debate.
Thank you,
So I think because a point of order, sometimes the chair has to rule. Why don't we deal with these numbers when the Senate is prosecuting the county allocation of revenue bill? Because that is currently before Senate, and that will be the Msemakweli, so that we don't have a debate over numbers.
I just wanted to inform the committee for the record that even me yesterday I had a conversation to clarify how much we have corrected up to now, and I communicated to the chair of CRA, and I gave the true figures, and I want to tell you that we have done better than any other year that has passed, even during since the devolution started. We are going to get more than what was ever gotten through revenue collection, and that is why we were considered for that, and the performance we have in the county so far is impressive. I must insist on that. But Mr. Chair, I would wish that an allegation that has been made about somebody being caught with 26 billion and another 6.5, if it's a lie, honestly speaking, why would you allow as a chair to go just that way when it is spreading somebody's image? A responsible person image is being spoiled by a lie. Nobody was caught. She was not caught with those monies. It is just, those are just malicious propaganda. Yes.
Members, members, let me give guidance. I know Senator Mwaura raised it.
Yes.
And it's
why was he not charged with that?
Order, Governor.
We have the charge sheet, and there is no those monies. Honestly.
Governor, order.
That is a lie.
Some order.
It's a big lie.
Governor Senator Mwaura raised the issue, but he concluded by saying that that is not a discussion for the Senate. It is a discussion that should be held next to Karura Forest or Valley Road. So let us not have that conversation here. Yes. I will restrict you from that, and I will restrict members from further probing that issue, because that's an issue that is currently under investigation.
Yes.
Now you can proceed.
Yes, I also wanted to proceed by saying that Mr. Mwaura has just mentioned the supplementary budget that was taken to court by 10 MCAs, and also wanted to mention that we have 92 MCAs in the Assembly who had supported that process of budgeting. But however, we have agreed that if it was wrong, we can do it again. We have no problem with the process. But it must be very clear from the onset that it is the process that was taken to court, not that the budget was wrong, but it is the process. And it was challenged by 10 MCAs in court out of 92 MCAs. And I must say that in Kiambu County, as it is now, I want to encourage all our leaders to support the county government which was elected during the day so that we can achieve whatever we promise for our people. But trying to fight us so that somebody can make political capital out of it, honestly speaking, according to me, even those who are outside trying to arrange all type of propagandas, that is not for the benefit of Kiambu County. I will be ready at any time that you call us together with my staff to answer on these questions that are before the Senate. And I must tell you, I apologize for bringing the report today. That one I agree. Although before I thought what was very, very important is to make sure that I come with a correct report and evidence. But I must say that I apologize for not meeting the timelines. But I must tell you that we are ready and we're ready to cooperate. Whatever step you decide to take, we are ready to cooperate as a Kiambu County government. I wish you could have given your former colleague, our former colleague in the assembly for a minute.
This is where he realizes he's in the Senate and not the county assembly. He shall be heard at the county assembly. At the Senate, the governor shall be heard.
Okay.
I'll buy him a cup of tea outside, being a former colleague, but I will not give him that opportunity to reopen issues where we have ruled on.
Okay.
Members, the governor has closed it fairly neatly. Obviously, he has not addressed everything. Could we then just provide directions? Unless Senator Matangi, there's a very burning point that we need to consider.
Yeah, just the one issue I wanted to consider is because it came from the governor's mouth on the process undertaken at the county assembly. And Chair, it would be shortchanging our own legislative system, and especially the role of the Senate, if we do not speak out on exactly what the governor has said. And what we would be doing, and I would be doing as a senator for Kiambu, is to, alongside what the governor is saying, indeed ask the governor and all the governors to let the county assemblies of county governments become independent. And leave county assemblies to do the work that they have been elected in law and by the people to carry out on behalf of the people of each county, by ceasing interference, by ceasing manipulation, by ceasing blackmail, such that you find that when a county assembly has got to pass a law, then it has got to be in conformity with the wishes of the executive arm of the county government. If it is not, then there will be interference. If Chair, a county assembly has got to attain a certain end in its own legislative process, Chair, and you know the work we did to ensure that we can give some sense of autonomy, and more so, for example, the governor having served as a member of the county assembly himself, and his CEC know the usefulness of having an independent assembly that is able to actually guide and help the county to make progress. But that interference, the dictation, Chair, of exactly what has got to happen, and sometimes even inducements for certain results, ends up in crippling the process that will enable a county to have what it should have in terms of a robust legislative process. So I would want to ask the governor for Kiambu, this, yes, as alongside it is envisaged, you need to cooperate and work with the county assembly, you need to exchange views with them, you forward your documents and your budgets to them, but to the extent that it amounts to interference with their independence, you will need to allow them to be independent. And lastly, Chair, is on this call by the governor that we should support the county government as elected in Kiambu. And Chair, I want to qualify that to say that the best way a senator of any county can support his county government is to ensure that there is responsibility within that county government as to the application of public funds, and indeed the work that we have been doing to ensure that the county governments get much more. When we bring to the attention of county governors, Chair, in this committee, the necessity for them to be, 1, prudent in expenditure, 2, responsible in that expenditure, and 3, accountable to that process. and the money they spend. That is the help we can offer them. Chair, if we allowed, for example, what has happened in the county of government of Kiambu with these records that we are seeing to continue, then the next thing you're going to have a completely runaway system. And it is not lost. I was fearing, Chair, let me say that on record. I was fearing when I saw what happened in South Sudan, of people taking up arms to go and remove their own government forcibly from office. I was asking myself, aren't we very soon going to start seeing this thing in county governments, whereby people are going to get to a point whereby they will say enough is enough, and they will walk to these offices of county governors and remove them from office. If we do not have governors now responding correctly and doing what they should do in service delivery to the people, Chair, because if we allow this to continue without being marked, then we have a problem.
Thank you, Senator.
Can I just comment, please?
You know, we don't have to respond to everything.
I just wanted to comment.
Part of it was more of
I just wanted to comment on the operations of the Assembly.
Could you then allow Senator Mwaura? Then you will have the final word, and then members, you will allow that we give the way forward. Isn't it? So Senator Mwaura, then the governor will respond to both issues very briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think if you look at Kiambu County, the assertion that only 10 members of parliament have gone to court, County Assembly, sorry, that's unguided, against 92 is a clear example of the fact that people have conscience and you cannot intimidate everybody. Chair, the governor is saying that what was questioned is a process, but the budget is okay. But the product is as good as a process. You cannot have a good product through a bad process, because products are produced by processes. Chair, when you have standing orders, and Senate is subject to standing orders, these are not just suggestions in the book, in the small booklet. These are legal codes that are supposed to be followed to ensure there is a rule of law rather than the rule of the jungle in the counties. Chair, we need to have a situation where Kiambu County becomes accountable. And when there are issues to do with variance of monies, the people are suffering. Kiambu has a potential of collecting 6 up to 10 million shillings daily. So to say that we are performing well is not true. In fact, in the year 2017-2018, just to add up to what Senator Matangi said, Kiambu County was not able to collect its revenue for 600 million. As a result, 400 million could not be given to the county. So the county lost 1 billion shillings, a whole billion, as a result. And the reports we are getting are not from ourselves. There has been questions by the EACC itself that staff of the Kiambu County are collecting up to 1 million shillings that is not accounted for. Where is the money going to? Who is being paid by these monies? Who is benefiting from those unaccounted monies from Kiambu County? And Chair, as I finish, even when we go through these papers, we as people from Kiambu are very worried about the information we are getting about the kind of lifestyle that county officials are living, the properties they are acquiring, including here in the CBD. And Chair, I'm finishing. Chair, this is a clear example of the leakages and the seepages in counties. And they must be challenged. Because when services are not delivered, when people are not being paid, even on time, when people of Kiambu are not getting what they bargained for in elections, clearly, we as a Senate, we have a role to play. And we cannot be working very hard to negotiate for a better formula under CRA and getting more monies to counties only for people to steal monies. It defeats the logic of devolution.
Now, members, we have agreed that we'll give the governor the last response, and then we give directions. I know there are some other competing priorities. There's a mediation committee that is coming here after this. But I also want to make it known that in this month of May, we expect a ruling at the Court of Appeal on the issue of county development boards. Because it was constructed in such a way that senators and governors and members of county assemblies and members of National Assembly from a county would get a forum where they could sit together on a quarterly basis to discuss the issues within their respective counties. I hope the matter will be resolved. That will give an opportunity for you, Governor, and the Senator to hold statutory consultations.
Yes.
And I'm sure that will also help the people of Kiambu a great deal. Because the Senator does not have to come to your office. You don't have to go to the Senator's office. But if you have a forum where you meet on a quarterly basis, it becomes a very good platform to articulate issues affecting your people. So, final response, Governor.
Yeah, I want to promise that I will support that County Development Board, because when we were doing the constitutional making, in this assembly, I supported the same because right now there is a lot of duplication with the projects by maybe even members of parliament, and also some misinformation. Sometimes people prosecute a certain idea because they don't have the information. What I wanted to mention, because Senator Maura has just mentioned, is that perception that people are stealing. Anybody who has information, please present it to the rightful authorities on Kiambu Road so that action can be taken. Otherwise, it is not right, honestly, to assume that if I look at you, Mr. Kajwang, I know what you own, so that I can say tomorrow what you have. What I have known today is that you have stolen. It is unfair, honestly speaking, because you have to look at somebody for a long time. Some of the properties that some of them are saying I bought them even before I was elected. I've been a businessman. Therefore, Mr. Kajwang, I must say that people should qualify whatever allegations they make against others. And that is very, very important. That when you have information, please take it to the rightful authority so that action can be taken. Otherwise, as far as the process is concerned, I wanted to mention that the 10 MCAs who went to court were previously in that committee. And when they were removed and the process of budgeting continued now with a new committee, that was the main problem in the whole process. And that's why all the ones who went to court are the ones who were in the previous Finance and Budget Committee. But I must tell you, what happened actually is the Assembly found it necessary to separate the committee so that they have two committees of finance and budgeting, because as it was one committee, the performance was presumed to be not satisfactory, and that is why they formed the two committees. So the ones who are in the previous committee, which was one for budget and finance, are the ones who went to court. Otherwise, I must tell you that revenue collection is up to date. In fact, we have beaten any other year with how much we have collected as at now. And I want to promise that we in the next 2 months we are definitely going to have the best correction as per our expectation. And I must tell my colleagues, please let us support the good motive of Kiambu residents. They want development, and I want to welcome you in that effort. However much we talk, the residents out there want to see what has been done for them at the end of the day. And I must say that, and I repeat that next time I'll be well prepared. This is the last time that I have not met the timelines. I'll make sure that in future I present my documents before the day of the presentation, so that the committee can deliberate on the issues before we come for the meeting. And I therefore conclude by saying that the issues being handled in Kiambu County are being handled by professionals. Although they are also human, they can make a mistake. But I must tell you, we have qualified personnel to do the work that we are doing in the county. And I must say that this one was a serious oversight of annexures that look foreign to us, and we came with them. That one to me also is. But I have to say, honestly speaking, that as it is, they did not sign for them. Otherwise, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and I also wish to thank the committee. And I must say that we are looking forward to face you as soon as possible when you look at the documents properly. And I must repeat that no money was spent on free education, no money was spent on State House, and no money was spent on anything to do with Southern Sudan. It is not in our budget. We didn't spend any monies, and therefore, honestly speaking, it is a foreign document that has really destabilized our presentation today. But I must say, the one who
Governor, you are doing so well.
Yes,
you are doing so well until the very last statements that you are making.
Thank you so much, Chairman.
I know.